Today at Ecological News, we are watching some of the most controversial topics of today's environment and how we have doomed our own world.
So carry on, fellow citizens of the Earth, because we got it bad and it's in our hands to fix it.
Forbes, that Telegraph, The Guardian and others are reporting that 2013 saw a trend of cooling which restored the polar caps, effectively destroying the widely held scientific claim that the world has been irreversibly warming along with a rise in carbon dioxide emissions. Caused primarily by us. If this should be taken at face value, it's a huge loss for science and a huge win for so-called climate change deniers. But it might not be a cut and dried case. The global cooling in 2013 claim comes from a leaked report to the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, obtained by the Mail on Sunday. This report has led some scientists to think that the world will actually cool until the middle of this century. Additionally, these publications report that the scientific community has accepted that global warming has been on pause for about 15 years, and that carbon dioxide, the human cause, might have nothing to do with it. Of course, observers are split on the new data and what it could be mean. Global warming proponents still maintain that scientific consensus supports their view, while skeptics seem to have a bit of justification for their reluctance to embrace the popular view. As a reader who only follows global warming in the most cursory sense, it might be hard to sort everything out to find what's true. Leading climate scientist James Hansen said, said that exactly point. This is a diversionary tactic. Our understanding of global warming and human-made climate change has not been affected at all, he said. It's because the deniers of the science want the public to be confused. They raise these minor issues and then we forgot about what the main story is. The main story is carbon dioxide is going up and it is going to produce a climate which is going to have a dramatic changes if we don't begin to reduce our emissions. Global cooling in 2013 proponents that don't make any long-term guesses as to what the new data could mean for the climate.
Although greenhouse gases and aerosols have very distinct properties, their effect on spatial patterns of rainfall change are surprisingly similar, according to the new research from the University of Hawaii at Manoa's International Pacific Research Centers and Scripps Institution of Oceanography. The study is published in the September 1st online issue of Natural Guidance. Human-made climate change comes mostly from the radioactive forcing of greenhouse gases and air pollutants or aerosols, while greenhouse gases are well mixed in the atmosphere and tend to be evenly distributed around the globe. Aerosols vary greatly in locate concentration and tend to be found near emission sources such as industrial centers in Asia and North America. Aerosols affect climate in two ways. One is fast and perturbs the physics and behavior of clouds in minutes to days. The other takes years and is mediated by interaction with the ocean and atmosphere. The fast effects of aerosols on clouds have been studied intensively, but their long-term ocean-mediated effects have received little attention. A team of scientists at the IPRC and the Scripps has now provided important new insights based on results from experiments with three states of the art climate models. Even though aerosols and greenhouse gases are concentrated in vastly different regions of Earth, all three models reveal similar gradient effects on rainfall over the ocean. This came as a big surprise to us, reflected author Chan Ping-Xian, a professor of climate science and FAIR's project revealed share in environmental science and scripts. It took a while for a result to sink in. The result means that it is hard to tell apart of greenhouse and aerosol effects. The scientists noted that both aerosol-induced and the greenhouse gas-induced changes in rainfall appear to be mediated by the spatial patterns of sea surface temperature. Although much of the aerosol research has focused on microphysical processes over the ocean, the climate response to the aerosol appears to be insensitive to details of microprocessors in plants. Xia said. The climate changes induced by greenhouse gases and by aerosols share a common self-ocean atmospheric feedback structures, explaining the spatial resemblance between the two types of response. High-innovative models experiments are not needed, says co-author Byung-Gin Chang, postdoctoral fellow at the APRC. We want to prove the ocean-atmosphere interaction mechanism that mediate these rainfall patterns and to determine what forms the foundation. This will allow us to develop more reliable regional climate projections.
It isn't just bunnies in Greenland that are dealing with our changing climate. Even the tiniest life forms in the sea are involved. Most phytoplankton are too small for us to see without special microscopes, but the planet's web of life, of which we're a part, will collapse without it. When enough is present, they may appear as a green discoloration of the water due to the presence of chlorophyll within their cells. These ultra-tiny photosynthesizing microscopic organisms inhabit the upper sunlit layer of almost all oceans and bodies of fresh water, and are agents for primary production, the creation of organic compounds from carbon dioxide dissolved in the water and processes that sustains the aquatic food web. Phytoplankton account for half of all the photosynthetic activity on Earth, and according to Thomas Mock, the lead researcher on a recent study of these nearly invisible organisms, they are responsible for half of the carbon dioxide that is naturally removed from the atmosphere. Mock added, as well as being vital to climate control, it also creates enough oxygen from every other breath we take, and forms the face of the food chain for fisheries, so it is incredibly important for food security. As we continue to warm our planet with our greenhouse gas emissions, phytoplankton will change like everything else. We're rapidly, como rapidly, we're rapidly, we're rapidly, we're rapidly, we're biological science we have learned in recent decades is undergoing permanent transformation. We will learn what it all means as it happens. And as I have stated many times before, Earth isn't just going from one steady condition to another. Instead, our planet is in the process of alteration from a stable state to an unstable one where dramatic or chaotic change will become the norm. A continual production of climate warming gases years after year and decade after decade means the climate cannot catch up. As long as we keep forcing it to charge, it must keep changing. And, and that includes snowshoe Greenland, phytoplankton, and every other physical, biological, chemical, or geological phenomenon on Earth. Under warmer temperatures, marine microalgae do not seem to produce as many ribosomes as under lower temperatures. Ribosomes join up to the building blocks and protein in cells. They are rich in phosphorus, and if they are being reduced, this will produce higher radius on nitrogen compared to phosphorus, increasing demand for nitrogen in the oceans. This will eventually lead to a greater prevalence of blue-green algae called cyanobacteria with fixed atmospheric nitrogen. In other words, global warming means hotter oceans, which means what used to be natural cycles of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and phosphorus will no longer be natural. In fact, as we continue to change our climate and all our planetary ecosystems, the words natural and normal will become rather meaningless. Perhaps scientists in the future will refer to before anthropogenic climate change and after. The only debate, if there is one, will be delineating the year which will divide before anthropogenic climate change from after anthropogenic climate change. This will eventually lead to a greater prevalence of blue-green algae called cyanobacteria with fixed atmospheric nitrogen. In other words, global warming means hotter oceans, which means what used to be natural cycles of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and phosphorus will no longer be natural. In fact, as we continue to change our climate and all our planetary ecosystems, the words natural and normal will become rather meaningless. Perhaps scientists in the future will refer to before anthropogenic climate change and after. The only debate, if there is one, will be delineating. Okay, no, this is delineating. Este, after. Okay. The only debate, if there is one, will be delineating the year which will divide before anthropogenic climate change from after anthropogenic climate change. I would suggest 19.
So we only have one planet. We better take care of our home.
Have a good evening, fellow citizens.